I stand with Abbott, who stands to defend the state of Texas from this invasion and ultimately all of the United States. He's got to set our other elected officials. They want to be a sanctuary city. They want to be a sanctuary state. But the moment they have to live up to that definition, they go no mas, no mas. Like our own Mayor Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, mayor of the illegal aliens, who not only rolled out the red carpet for them and called Abbott a racist and then later on a madman, but just recently, about 2 months ago, said this migrant situation will destroy the city of New York. And yet he continues to roll out the red carpet. But there is one borough above all boroughs that stands in defiance of Eric Adams, of Governor Hochul, of President Joe Biden, of the schmuck-to-putz Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, and yes, the United States Supreme Court, although no ruling has been made against them. If anything, their lawyers out in Staten Island are feared by the city, feared by the state, and now feared by the Episcopalian Church. If you remember, it was about 3 weeks ago that I broke the story here on WABC that the Reverend Hank Toole, head of St. John's Episcopal Church in Rosebank, on the North Shore of Staten Island in the shadow of the Verrazano Bridge, right there on Bay Street, had told his parishioners at their Sunday gathering, of which is such a small number of Episcopalians, not just there but anywhere, they're wannabe Catholics. And he told them that he had made a decision that he would welcome in 50 Somalian illegal aliens and house them on the first floor of the Canterbury House, which is a senior citizen residence at 1331 Bay Street. The seniors who were there were like blown away. What? You're going to have young males, young adult males of military age who haven't had their backgrounds checked, we don't know who they are, who haven't had any medical checks, who haven't been vaccinated, and you're going to put them on the first floor. We're above them. All chaos could happen. Please, no, 1,000 times no. This was the plea of the senior citizens. And the Reverend Hank Toole of the Episcopalian St. John's Church was actually going for a money grab. I'll explain that momentarily. But remember, the last time Eric Adams tried to stick illegal aliens into a senior citizen home, he cleared the whole home out in Midland, which is a floodplain, Midland Beach, right there, Father Capadonna Boulevard. Some of those seniors having served us in the Korean War and the Second World War. He gave them 2 months, told them, pack your bags, hit the road, Jack, don't come back. We need the space for illegals. And remember, we had a standoff, a Mexican standoff there. It was the Alamo. And remember, Staten Island defeated Eric Adams at St. John Villa Academy, whereas Eric Adams went to court. And he thought that he would have the court side with him and Corporation Counsel of the City of New York that has endless funds. And finally, in the Staten Island State Supreme Court, the case ended up on the desk of Judge Ozzie, who was a Democrat. And Judge Ozzie took his time and rendered a ruling that actually supported Eric Adams in his attempt to not have to abide by the mandatory shelter rule, that everyone is given shelter no matter who they are if they request it. Mandatory shelter rule. He could have used that decision of Judge Ozzie. They came after the arguments of the Corporation Counsel. They came at Staten Island in waves, but they could not defeat the dynamic duo that have taken the city on time and time again, and the state, Mark J. Fonte and Lou Gerolamo of the law firm of F&G right there on Victory Boulevard. Once again, they won. They won. And there was no St. John Villa housing migrants any longer. It is now going back to what it should have been. It's being rehabbed to be turned into a school. The community won. Staten Island won. But there is a secret to these victories. And I preach this wherever I go. I've spoken to groups around the country who are organizing against this illegal alien invasion into their communities. and especially to the black community that I have consulted in the south side of Chicago and the west side of Chicago, which now actually, in one case, a husband and a wife have filed a lawsuit, they're Democrats, against the socialist mayor and the city administration to stop the invasion of illegal aliens that he is welcoming. But Staten Island has led, and everybody else must follow. And what Staten Island did again in this case of the Episcopalian Church wanting to make money, and I'll explain that momentarily, the Reverend Hank Toole finally capitulated and said no mas, because it was formidable opposition. First of all, Borough President Vito Fossella, joined by the Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis and other elected Republicans, but most importantly, Democrat elected officials, joined them and said no to the Episcopal Church. Then there was Scott Lebedo, a true patriot, leader of the rebels with John Tobacco, but especially Scott Lebedo, who has been caring for his ill father, a great son, a great patriot. And he said, no, I must join my comrades. And they had a line of demonstration outside of St. John's Episcopal Church, the rebels. And again, the priest, the Reverend Hank Toole, could see that. And so then he claimed, oh, we're being harassed, we're being threatened. No. You liar. You should be defrocked. You can't show any evidence that anybody threatened to harm you or any of your parishioners or anyone supporting you in this effort. What you were threatened was with a lawsuit by the dynamic duo of Lou Gerolamo and Mark J. Fonte, who have slayed the city and state before over and over, of the F&G law firm at Victory Boulevard. That is the formidable duo. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have all three entities, all three. You must have lawyers who are willing to go to battle, who have won against the city and state and federal government. That's Mark J. Fonte and Lou Gerolamo. You must have a united front of elected officials, Democrats and Republicans, which Staten Island has always had. And you must have the rebel factor leading the citizens. So the Reverend announced to his congregation that, no, we will not receive the 50 illegal alien Somalian men, because we were threatened. You were not threatened. You liar. You're not a man of the cloth. You're a man who lies instead of acknowledging you feared the lawsuit. And by the way, the untold story is that the city of New York, Eric Adams, is offering all houses of worship $125 per night for each illegal alien under the plan. Now, our own Rabbi Joe Potasnik has a shul in Brooklyn Heights. They haven't taken any. Reverend A.R. Bernard, who has the megachurch, 5,000 seats right there where East New York meets Canarsie at Flatlands Avenue and Pennsylvania Avenue. He hasn't taken any. Only 2 churches have taken any illegal aliens. They're both Pentecostal churches in the South Bronx. These men of the cloth, rabbis, mullahs, imams, priests, pastors, they're all fake, phony frauds. They've had press conference after press conference. Oh, we'll take in the illegal aliens. Only 2 Pentecostal churches in the South Bronx. Even though they could have made $125 per illegal alien per day. Now, what the Reverend Hank Toole was figuring out, hey, 50 Somalians at $125 per night, that's $6,250 to the church for a week. That's a day. $6,250 for the day total. $43,750 for the week. If they stayed a month, it's $187,000 for the month for the church. And if they stayed the whole year, which the lease from the city would require, they would have made $2,250,000. And this so-called priest of the Episcopalian Church was ready to take the money. And who would he be accountable to? Nobody. And meantime, who would he have been jeopardizing? The senior citizens at the Canterbury House in the floors above the site where 50 illegal aliens from Somalia would have been housed. By the way, Somalia has active cells of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So now he's trying to claim, I had to wave the white flag because, the threats. There were no threats. It was a threat of a lawsuit, and you folded. And the city told you to fold because they didn't want to face Lou Gerolamo again, Mark J. Fonte, and lose a case. So I applaud Staten Island for leading in this effort. They have been successful in almost every one of their battles. Migrant Center after Migrant Center has been closed there. And it's teamwork. And let this be a lesson to everyone else that I work with around the city, around New York State, and around the country, that you must have all three elements. Today, you can find me at Beach 116th Street and Beach Channel Drive starting at 3 o'clock. I will be leafleting out there with the Guardian Angels and then going door to door in the neighborhoods of Rockaway Beach, Bell Harbor, Neponset, and out in Breezy Point. And we're getting out the message that we're failing to have all three components in the battle against Floyd Benefield. There are now 3,000 illegal aliens housed in the tents at runway 19. They are moving more in by the day, mostly women and children. It is inhumane to house them in those tents. It's a flood zone. There was flooding with this weather we've had in the last few days. But Eric Adams is insistent. But what we don't have out there is the fear of lawyers. Supposedly there's a lawsuit. I have no idea where it is now. There have been no updates to the community, and quite frankly, I'm going out to the Rockaways as I went out to Howard Beach last week, as I went out to Flatbush and Avenue U, Marine Park, Mill Basin, and Bergen Beach the week before. And we're starting to dig in, because if we don't fight this now, by the time spring hits, that invasion into Floyd Benefield will number 4,000. And they will be going door to door and into everybody's backyards, and they'll be trying the doors of cars, and they'll be doing all the shenanigans that they've been doing in an organized way, the Venezuelans, including begging for money, with women and children, and blocking traffic in the street with signs that say, "I'm hungry, feed me." What a ripoff this has become. And all roads lead to Eric Adams. I salute you, Staten Island. You defeated the mayor again, who had to signal to the Reverend Toole at St. John's Episcopal Church, fold like a cheap camera, retreat. Staten Island wins again, which is a win for America, a win for the city, and a win for the most patriotic of all five boroughs, Staten Island.